It's time for the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, recorded live at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum.
Welcome to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Our program brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. I'm your host, Bob Bonner, alongside Fort Lewis College Skyhawks men's basketball coach, Bob Pietrack. Bob, thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
At the end of, everybody knew the COVID-19 season was going to be a weird one, but it doesn't get much weirder than what you guys ended up going through. The only team I think in the conference played the two nationally top 10 teams, Colorado Mesa, Colorado Mines, twice each. You finish up as a 6th seed, get into the RMAC tournament, had to kind of claw your way through it, had a number of cancellations, postponements for COVID along the way. Really sort of everything, if someone was going to look in December and go, wow, a lot of things could happen this season, they did.
Everything happened, a little bit of everything. So first I'd like to say how thankful we are that we got to play and how well our school did. Our athletic staff was outstanding. President Stridicus put us in great position with the testing. So we were able to get the majority of our scheduled games in. So very thankful for that. We learned a tremendous amount about our team and what we have coming back. So in that regard, huge success. Our schedule was as hard as it could be, considering who we had to play and some of the teams that didn't come down to Durango to play. So really proud of our team, first for the way we handled COVID. I thought our team was outstanding all year long about following the protocols and just giving us a chance to compete. So I told the guys in the postseason meeting how proud I was of them. They never got too high or too low. They just stayed the course with COVID. So that was the first opponent we had to deal with, is trying to navigate that. We did have quite a few missed games due to COVID, due to stoppages in the middle. But overall, I think our season was a success. Back in the RMAC tournaments, competed hard. Wish we would have had Ferris for the game, obviously. But overall, I feel good about where our team is, where we were, where we're at, and where I think we can go next year.
Well, and at the end of the day, now that it's all a few weeks removed, and it's at the end of the day, it's the old, why do men climb mountains? Why do athletes compete? At the end of the day, one of the reasons is the stories you get to tell afterwards. I mean, it's that's how you know you lived. And boy, did you guys live this year. I mean, and so you talk about getting to know your team. The different adversities, the unpredictable nature of the season, and yet despite that, you guys come through it. We mentioned the 4 games against the top 10 teams in the country, and you guys push them as hard as anybody or harder than anybody, come up short. You want all those to be wins. You want the season to end in a championship, but God, the more you get away from this one, the more you look back. I got to think the prouder you are of the kids, and the more you can kind of smile about you guys, in spite of all this, made it back to the tournament this year. Pushed Black Hills, dang near won that game without your top guy. A lot of things to really kind of smile about from this season.
There's no question. Coach Stephenson and I couldn't be happier with where our program is and where we're going. The commitment from the guys, we're going to have, we lose Cesar Molina to graduation, but we're having everybody else is back. So the commitment's there from the guys. And we were, a little short here, a little short there, a little break here, a little break there. We had the lead in every basketball game in the second half except the road game at Mesa. You talked about playing those teams 4 times. 3 of those games were coin flip games down the stretch. Easily could have won them as easy as we lost them. Had a lot of great games, and this is going to be a long summer because we're just so excited for next year. You just want to get to you want to get to September as quick as you can and get the boys back on campus and get going in what should be a very fun year next year.
In a great group of kids. We saw Brenden Boatwright's going to join us later in the program. He really came on. He joined the starting lineup once he did. There was no getting him out of there. He double-digit scoring every game. I think his highest rebounding average of his career. He and Ferris paired in the post for you was the next best thing to Unstoppable. You got the great wing play from Whitman and Sang and great bench play. I've heard you say it before. We like our team. We like our guys. I mean, you like them even more now. I'm amazed to think at the potential this team has next year.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying this. There's not a better group of guys to work with than we have. And we have the best human beings that you could possibly have as a college basketball coach. And I'm not saying anybody else's team doesn't have it, but I'm saying we do have it. Sure. We have wonderful people, wonderful guys to work with. And that's where the excitement comes from, because you know the character of the guys, and you want to work with them. But as far as our team goes, we played 3 games early. Western 2 games, and then we played Christian. Those were the first 3 games of the season, and they didn't have a center. So it was a weird matchups. And after the game at Colorado Christian, me and Coach Steph were talking, and I said, hey, no matter what we do the rest of the year, we got to figure out a way to get Boatwright on the floor at least 20 minutes a game. He's just too good of a player now. When we recruited him, we thought he was going to be an all-league player. Not all recruits do you recruit thinking they're going to be an all-league player. But Boatwright, we were pretty confident that he was going to be an all-league player for us. It just so happens that we have an All-American center as well. So we had to pivot our coaching style a little bit offensively, and we've been very successful offensively. But we had to pivot it a little bit to fit what we had. So as soon as we inserted the big boat, he played really well. So I would expect to see that moving forward. And we'll get better at playing together. Now, I think they were very comfortable, Ferris, Boat, LaRose, all playing together. But I think with another off season and us tinkering with finding ways to utilize it within our little motion that we were running, I think the sky's the limit for all of our bigs.
You brought some new guys in this year in Donnell Stafford, Tyler Kinghorn, Joey Nacarado, kids that played big minutes for you late in the season. Really another year for them to integrate with these guys we've been talking about, these program kids who've been around here for a few years. That's pretty excited too. I mean, you're almost looking at a situation next year is where do you find minutes? Yeah,
well, that's always the hardest part, especially for the head coaches. There's only 200 game minutes in each game, 5 starters, 40 minutes a game, 200. So you got to find that. But was really happy with our new players. We have Scotty Stafford played huge minutes for us. And because of the COVID year and the waiver, he'll have 2 more years. And then Joey Nacarado, now he's an interesting player. He's somewhat of the heartbeat of our team, along with Sang and Will. He brings so much energy, really a captain type guy. And
You're a gritty guy.
Oh, he's beautiful in his own way.
Yeah.
But if you've watched the games, now I wish the crowd could be there, because I think that's a guy the crowd would really enjoy. Sure. But he's got 2 more. So all these guys that we got are committed to staying the course. So this year, although it counted, we really get a sneak preview of what we have next year and then the following year moving forward. So happy with that, and I think it speaks volumes about our program. Now, we're in the program on a daily basis, the players and the coaches. But if you're outside of our program and you're seeing all these guys committing to coming back, I think it speaks volumes about the health, the culture of our program, and what the guys feel about not only our program, but how they feel about Fort Lewis College in general. It's a great place to be, and we're all thankful to be here.
Yeah, good kids want to be here. It's it's a nice position to be in, isn't it?
It is.
Hey, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk more with Coach Bob Pietrack about the offseason and next season and looking forward, and maybe going to pick the coach's brain about the Final Four a little bit right after these.
You can't stop the snow from falling, but you can make sure it doesn't slow you down. The Kubota Grand L Series, featuring an enclosed cab and all the snow removal equipment you need, is the ultimate package for outstanding performance, comfort, and taking on winter. Right now, get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus a 6-year limited powertrain warranty. See your local Kubota dealer today.
Southwest Ag, your Four Corners all-season equipment superstore, online at swaginc.com.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. We're filming in the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum, as always, and I'm your host, Bob Bonner, joined by head men's basketball coach Bob Pietrack. And Bob, we've been talking a little bit about, how unusual and plenty ups and downs. It's always a roller coaster. I suppose that's why you play the games. How unusual the COVID season was for you. But one of the things you talked about, because of the unusual and unpredictable nature of it, you learned a lot about your kids. we've talked about some of that. So what do you know as a, a snapshot? Obviously, we lose Cesar to graduation, but we bring a lot of great players back. So, what do you know about your team for next year? What should we be looking for from these guys?
Well, we're battle tested at this point, right? So we got a group of guys that have been together. We don't have a roster of players. Now, if you're looking from the outside and you're a college basketball fan, there's a big difference between having a bunch of players on a roster and having a team. And because of us being together for as long as we have now, we have a real team, a group of guys that are like this. So as a coach, that's what you're always striving for. Doesn't mean you always can get it because there's a lot of different factors, but we have a real group that's a team, and that's very exciting for the coaching staff. Now, we're going to lose Cesar, who was very instrumental in our success, but is one of the greatest human beings you could ever be.
Another
around.
heartbeat kid.
Oh, man. It's tough to see him go, but we also get back our starting point guard from the previous year, and Logan Hopkinson, who now will be a fifth-year senior and healthy. The year he played with a broken wrist. So we're going to get him back, and then we'd like to add at the guard position. Right. We need to add a player at the guard position. That's we'd like to add an all-league caliber guard. Now, every coach in the RMAC wants to add an all-league caliber guard.
Sure.
So,
welcome to the
they
club.
all do. All 15 of us
Right.
would like to. But it's Coach Stephenson and I's job to do everything we can to add a player to our team that'll fit the culture, fit in with the guys, be a good student, and to do all the things that all of our guys are doing,
Right.
and see if we can't blend a piece into an established team. And see if that can push us over the top. Because
in your team, sorry to cut you off, but isn't your team going to kind of sell itself to that kid a little bit? I mean, I got to think if I'm that guy coming out of junior college or transfer high school, wherever it is, and I look at this roster, and know that I've got the tools you're talking about, Fort Lewis College is a place I'm going to want to play.
No, there's no question about that. And that's
Question of finding that kid then, making that marriage.
Not only do we need to find a good player, we got to find the right player. So there's a big difference between being good enough and being the right player. There's a lot of players that are good enough. We got to find the right player that has the right mentality, that wants to be team first and be really bought into the team concept, because we have 15 guys up there on the hill that are starving for success and that are all in it together.
Sure.
So we need to find that player. We're really good inside, and LaRose, we didn't talk about it, but boy, did LaRose blossom in this season, and he's got 2 years to go.
Thought he really gave you an extra element defensively too, which maybe if we go back a previous year, one of the things that I thought you were immeasurably better was defensively, and I thought LaRose one of those kids who kind of helped you with that.
LaRose was enormous, and anytime you have a young man that's grown up in the program start to succeed, boy, as a coach, you're just booming with happiness for that player, because LaRose came in, had to wait his time, he had to get minutes, got minutes. Last year, then he gets minutes again, and you start to see him take off. And as a coach, then that's, of course, you want wins and losses, and that's what coaches are measured by. But there's something to be said for having program guys that have grown up in it start to blossom, and now you're saying, hey, no, he has a chance to grow into an all-league player one day.
Well, a sidebar, just in case fans don't know, also fun for him. He's got a sister tearing it up in the Fort Lewis College volleyball program, so a little bit of sibling rivalry there, but it's not bad to have her on campus. Having good performances, probably pushing him to even better next year for you.
And I think it's just good that they have a healthy relationship and that they're both here.
It's a neat story.
It is
another neat story, another neat kid.
Really neat.
So as we look, and if there's recruits out there, if there's a nice guard out there watching, what should we tell him he's coming into in Fort Lewis, or why should he be looking here?
Well, we have an established basketball team that plays the right way, especially offensively. I think we're one of the better teams in Division II offensively if you look at our numbers. Defensively, we've made huge strides to where we are at. Our points per possession, both offensively and defensively, we're on the rise. But most of all, you come to a great school in a beautiful location, and you get to play for an established program with coaches and players that care about each other. And that to me, that's special, and that is college basketball.
And one of the top 3 scoring teams in a conference that can score the basketball. I mean, as a player, you got to love that too.
Yeah. So one of the things we've always said is sometimes the stats and where you're at aren't indicative to how you're playing. It's the points per possession.
Sure.
Points per possession, because some teams play faster, so they would score more, and then they would give up more. So we're really happy where we're at. Just got to get a little bit better, which we are. Keep our team intact, which I believe we will, and then add a little bit to it, and then take that wooden spoon and get the spaghetti sauce going, and see if we can't have something special next year.
Well, and it's fun. It's a fun time of year to speculate. You know, like I said, feel good about what you did accomplish this year, getting back to the tournament. And so let's, since it is the fun time of year for basketball, let's wrap this up. You've done the rapid fire questions with me, Ray, so we're not going to do that, Bob. We'll throw that out. One of your favorite times of year and mine. Just give me 2 minutes. Have you got a Final Four? Who's your Final Four?
You know what? I was filling it out last night. I think Gonzaga's going to win it.
Okay.
But
that's big. Run the table, undefeated.
I think they're awfully good.
You think this is that team that's going to, what is it, first time in almost 50 years?
I think they can do it. And I also think Baylor's very good. I think Oklahoma State, because they have the special player in Cunningham, could be there. And without looking at the bracket, I don't know who the other team was. But it should be an interesting year. There'll be fans at the tournament, but not as many as normal.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes. But just thankful that we had a season, that college basketball was able to have a season.
Sure.
And really excited to see for next year, not only our level, but Division I level, if we can get back to somewhat normalcy of having it. I know this, I'll say this, we miss the fans at Wayland Gymnasium so much.
Yeah.
It is incredible how important they are to our season. And then you don't really know until you take it away, but all the people that come on a regular basis, you're incredibly important to us, and we can't wait to see you again in November.
Well, and it's a great product that you guys put on the floor. Like I said, you guys score the ball, you do it in an exciting way. It's not boring basketball at all. So if you're a college hoops fan, this place to be. Quick, emotional favorite though in the tournament. Who are you rooting for? Besides, Gonzaga's the favorite. Who are you rooting for? Who would you like to see surprise? Not even win it, but just that team that sneaks into the Elite Eight, or who's your underdog this year?
I'll root for Colorado. CU.
Okay.
They've always, CU has treated us great throughout the years. We've played exhibition games with them, practiced there before. So, and I'm a Colorado kid, so I'll definitely be rooting for CU.
All right, go Buffs.
All right.
Thanks to Coach Bob Pietrack. We're going to go ahead and take another break. Be back with Brenden Boatwright right after these.
After an ACL injury, it's important to involve a physical therapist in your recovery process. Our physical therapists over at Mercy Sports Medicine will use video camera and analysis of your knee motion to ensure that your knee is more normalized so that we can more safely return you to the field of play. If you suspect a knee injury, your first step should be to call Mercy Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Our program is brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. I'm your host, Bob Bonner, joined now by Brenden Boatwright from the Fort Lewis College men's basketball team. Thanks for joining us, Boat.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Hey, and it's okay, I can call you Boat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're digging that. All right, first question. I know you know this is coming, and it comes from my wife. Why the haircut?
Why the haircut? It was just time for a change. Coach Pete was on me a little bit during the season to get a haircut. I just let it grow out. Sometimes I feel like I got to cut it.
Well, and it's a more mature look for you. I'll give you that.
Well, I appreciate that.
And it came in a year when, Boat, you matured as a player. You got yourself into the starting lineup. I think rolled off 13 straight double-digit scoring games after that. Led the conference in charges taken at 15 a game, I think. Let's talk about that real quick first. I mean, you did do a lot of things offensively, but something I've seen over a couple of years is what you bring to the table as a post defender. And it's not 15 a game, that's a wild exaggeration, but I've seen games where you've drawn 5 charges. What's the secret? I mean, I've never seen anybody that's mastered that art quite as much as you have.
In high school, we drilled it a lot, so it was one of the main things that I did in high school. I'm pretty used to it, and really, you just got to find a good position, and it's all about a timing thing.
Okay.
And once you get your timing down, you can pretty much draw a charge on anybody.
And I mean, do you think when you establish position at 6'9", a couple bills plus, and then you go down. I mean, it's kind of hard for an official not to make that call when they see that kind of contact right in front of them.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, here in college basketball, everybody's so much bigger, faster, stronger.
Right.
You're going to get hit, and you just got to let them knock you down, and you'll probably get the call most times.
It's not about going down, it's about bouncing back up again anyways, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So tell us now a little bit more about jumping into the starting lineup. I mean, you're a former Gatorade Player of the Year in New Mexico. You've had success throughout your life in basketball. You come to college, you got to kind of claw your way back into that role again. It happens for you this year in a COVID year. How was it for a couple of years having to get yourself back to that position, and what do you think was different this year that got you there?
Well, I mean, honestly, I just waited my time and worked hard every day and tried to be the best person I could be on and off the court. And I eventually earned myself a role. And, in high school, I had to do the same thing. I had to earn myself a role, even though I was bigger than everybody. I still had to work for it. And there's something to be said to have to work for something to get it, And I'm pretty happy with the way I performed this year, but I know I can do better. And I'm looking forward to it for next year.
That knowing you have to earn it makes you feel like you got to go out and earn it again next year then too, I suppose.
Absolutely. I mean, every day is a audition to show what you can do. And it's not just an audition for the talent you have, but what kind of teammate you are. And I'm really looking forward to the team we have next year too as well. Looking forward for everybody to come back. And there's a few guys that I'm looking forward to having good seasons too.
Well, what does that look like in practice? You obviously you pressure yourself to put in the work. Are you surrounded by a bunch of guys who are like that? Does your example help? Are you proud of the fact that you're part of that leadership mix too that helps bring that out in other players? Or do you get as much of that from your teammates as they get from you, do you think?
I think it's a give and take from everybody. Everybody has something different to bring to the table. And, guys like Joey, they lead in different ways. Guys like Riley Ferris, they lead in different ways. And so I think it's really a give and take between everybody.
Sure.
So I think it's a collective effort.
How fun is it to compete? You're talking about Joey's a banger, man. I can only imagine what it's like to practice against him. Riley, what it'd be like to try and guard him in practice. Do you guys get after each other pretty good in practice?
Absolutely. I mean, I love setting screens on Joey. I mean, I'm not afraid of the contact, and I know he isn't either, and it makes us both better. As far as guarding Riley in practice, that's a frustrating thing. He's one of the most offensively talented guys I think I've ever played with. So, yeah, it's very competitive, and there's some choice words being said sometimes, but that's okay. It's part of the competing process.
Part of the game. Talk about choice. You hit your first three-pointer in a game this year. Did you know in the moment that it was your first one at the college level?
Yes, I did, but I didn't realize that when I shot it, it had been a three.
Okay.
So if you look on tape, I shoot it, and then I kind of get to half court, and I'm like, did I actually shoot a three? I was confused.
And then did you look at Coach to see if you're in trouble for shooting a three, or
No,
have you got the green light on that?
I didn't look at Coach. I've kind of grown past the looking at him for mistakes. If he was mad at me, he would have told me after the game.
And it's hard to stay mad over a make from three. And is that something you've got a green light? Is if it's there, take it?
I think.
Or was it just in the moment and you did it?
It was. It's one of those things that shot clock's running down.
Sure.
We've moved the ball a bunch, and it's kind of like a last second kind of thing. I'll probably take one, but
Sure.
It's not something that I'm looking to do throughout the game.
Sure. Well, it was a good luck, and like you said, it was a good luck at the right time.
That's right.
Not to take the fun out of it. Yeah, it wasn't a heave. It was a nice look. It was a set shot, as I think Coach said after the game that night. So, looking back on the year, God dang, there were a couple that we wish we could have won.
Absolutely.
But are you now? We're a few weeks away. Are you looking back and smiling? There were some pretty neat moments in the season this year.
Well, I'm just happy that we made the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first year in my career where I played on a tournament team, and having that success just makes me want to have more. And I'm looking forward to it. Next season is going to be a great season, and I think everybody's going to come back with a vengeance. But yeah, it's going to be great. This year was a very successful building block year, and even though we didn't play a full schedule, I'm still happy we got to play some games, and I think that was very instrumental for our success next year.
I think you guys took a huge step. Looking forward to next year. Hey, we're getting the high sign from the boss, so we're going to play a quick game. You haven't played it yet. I call it the one. I'm going to ask you 5 questions real quick. You just tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay.
All right? Favorite sports movie?
The Longest Yard.
Not what I expected from the basketball guy. Who's your favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete? Shaq.
Shaq, nice. Now, hey, go back to Longest Yard, the original with Burt Reynolds or the Adam Sandler version?
Adam Sandler. I'm
Adam
a new
Sandler.
school kind of guy.
All right.
I really enjoy Adam Sandler.
Well, I don't know. I
He's
thought
pretty
we lost Burt this year, so I thought maybe you'd give a little nod to him too. Maybe we'll have to watch that version one of these times. If you weren't playing basketball, what sport would you be playing?
Probably football.
Football. Big football fan. Did you play in high school?
I didn't play too much in high school, but I am a big fan of football, and I grew up playing it a lot.
Okay.
So I like the contact, so I think I'd fit pretty well in the football scene.
One player or other team or something from the course of your career that just, boy, you're always going to remember that sucker. He was a tough out. He was a tough get, or it was a team that was always just tough. Who's been sort of your nemesis over the course of your career, maybe?
Well, I can say that I dislike Regis the most. I don't like those guys, but all the players that I dislike.
# see you next year.
Yeah, all those guys are gone now. I would have to say Ethan Menzies out of Mesa.
Yep.
He's the kind of guy to go after next. He's had a great year. I think I'm up for the challenge to, take that down a little bit.
Nice. Like a goal. Last one. What to this point in your career, what's been your one shining moment? What's the thing that sticks out to you as your biggest moment?
I don't know that I've had a biggest moment yet.
Okay.
And I think that's the beauty of my career so far is that there's that big moment still to come, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to maybe have that moment, and maybe I could answer that question a little bit better next time.
It'd be great to be here next year, and you can say easily that moment was beating Ethan Menzies and Mesa in the conference championship game.
Absolutely.
Let's go
yes,
for
sir.
that. All right, thanks for joining us, Brenden
sir.
Boatwright, and thanks to all the fans for joining us this week. This has been the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, brought to you from the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum, and presented by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. See you next week. Keep soaring, folks.